Fitzsimons Federal Credit Union has a long and rich history of serving its members and the community. During the early 1950s, the civilian personnel branch of the Fitzsimons Army Hospital established a steering committee to organize a credit union. On October 10, 1955, the steering committee saw its efforts rewarded as the Bureau of Federal Credit Unions, Department of Health, Education, and Welfare approved a charter for Fitzsimons Army Hospital Credit Union, FAH. Only 10 days later, the original 10 charter members met. Among them was Charles Hoffman, who later became the first full-time manager, Harry Hotzenpiller, who became the second manager in 1963, and Doris Dusick, who is still our member today. The initial member count was 15, with $360 in assets. A share was $5, and the membership fee was 25 cents. The first office consisted of 2 desks located in Building 349. Due to space limitations, the lobby of the Post Theater was used to sign up new members. The credit union was operated by volunteers from the board and the credit and supervisory committees. During 1960, for the first time, the credit union reached $1 million in assets. 2 years later, in 1962, the credit union moved to Building T119, across the street from the Red Cross Center, and also obtained its first direct phone line. Previously, all calls were handled through the hospital's switchboard. In 1963, Charles Hoffman resigned from the board and was hired as the credit union's first full-time manager. In November of the following year, board member Harry Hotzenpiller replaced Charles Hoffman as the manager. Mr. Hotzenpiller would hold that position for the next 15 years. During the 1980s, the credit union experienced changes in leadership and progressively offered more products and services to its members. In August of 1980, Kelly Cook became the 3rd credit union manager, where he'd served for 3 years. Between 1980 and 1981, the credit union began offering individual retirement accounts, share draft accounts, and share certificates. The credit union also computerized its daily operations. In 1983, Thomas Evers became the new manager and held that title for 7 years. Also that year, National Jewish Hospital Credit Union merged with FGH Federal Credit Union, and the credit union began offering credit cards. In 1984, select employer groups were added to the field of membership, which allowed the credit union to serve more people. 2 years after that, the credit union's name changed to Fitzsimons Federal Credit Union, FFCU. FFCU operated from 3 buildings on Fitzsimons and maintained an office at National Jewish Hospital. In 1987, FFCU opened a service center and drive-through ATM at Potomac and Colfax. In 1988, Thomas H. Smith became the first board member ever to be nominated and elected from the floor at the annual meeting of the membership. In 1990, FFCU's assets reached $50 million. Sandy Nevis became CEO. That same year, Thomas H. Smith became board chairman. He served in that position for 23 out of the next 24 years on the board. He retired in December 2014. In 1993, due to the planned construction of the new Army Medical Hospital, the credit union was forced to move to a new location on Fitzsimons Army Medical Campus. This was the beginning of credit union members having to pay for operating space. Up to this time, the Army subsidized credit union operations. Later that same year, automated banking by phone was implemented. In 1996, the National Credit Union Administration approved a community field of membership for FFCU because of the closure of the Army Medical Center. In 1997, Visa check cards and home equity lines of credit loans were introduced. 1 year later, the credit union reached $100 million in assets. In 1999, FFCU launched its first website, and the membership continued to grow. That same year, FFCU purchased the land under the headquarters building, located on Fitzsimons Army Medical Campus. FFCU owned the main building from the Department of the Army. The next year, FFCU became the first credit union in Colorado to open an in-store branch located at the Super Kmart on Colfax and Chambers. By the summer of 2001, FFCU underwent a name change to Fitzsimons Community Federal Credit Union, adding community to the name to reflect the whole membership that the credit union then served. During August 2001, the field of membership expanded again to include people who worship or attend school in Aurora. Later that year, the credit union became the first credit union in Colorado to offer IRNet, which was an affordable way for members to wire money to Mexico and other countries. In March of 2005, FCFCU broke ground for the construction of a new, standalone branch at the Southland Shopping Center in southeast Aurora, near Smoky Hill Road and E470. 7 months later, the Southlands branch opened for business. In 2007, the credit union closed on negotiations on an involuntary sale of its main branch, the headquarters building, and its land to the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. In February of 2008, FCFCU began to relocate back office functions and staff to a temporary location at a nearby credit union. In the spring of 2008, a temporary branch was established at the Sable Plaza Shopping Center at 6th and Sable in Aurora to provide teller services to members who would normally have used the main branch. The next month, the Sable branch opened for business and the remaining credit union staff relocated to this facility and to the Southlands branch. The year after that, the name was changed back to Fitzsimons Federal Credit Union and adopted the brand name Fitzsimons, a partnering credit union, serving anyone who lives or works in Aurora, Eastern Centennial, Bennett, Stroudsburg, and Watkins. FFCU is one of the 15 largest credit unions in Colorado. The new brand was developed to coincide with the credit union's return to the Fitzsimons campus and to reflect its commitment to serving this population. FFCU opened for business in its new location on Fitzsimons Parkway. Administrative and other back office functions that had been housed off-site relocated to the new facility, and the Sable and Super Kmart branches were closed. Today, the credit union has over 18,000 members, 45 employees, and $170 million in assets. Comprised mostly of volunteers who have served for more than 20 years, FFCU is guided, directed, and led by its board of directors. From the founding of the credit union 60 years ago up to today, it has been and will continue to be a staple of the Fitzsimons culture to volunteer in the community. Not only does the community volunteer to serve on the credit union's board and committees, but the same volunteers give their personal time to improve the community. By participating in Homes for Our Troops, raising money for Comitas Crisis Center, manning the phones during Children's Hospital's annual radiothon, and volunteering at a handful of other local charities and schools, Fitzsimons employees, members, volunteers, and their spouses elevate the community, forge lasting relationships, and show all that can be accomplished through partnership and working together. Of course, with all hard work, there should be some fun too. During October of every year, FFCU organizes an event to thank its members and celebrate the founding of the credit union. Employees and volunteers also take holidays very seriously. Halloween costumes, Santa Claus, and even the Easter Bunny have made appearances at the credit union throughout the years. Fitzsimons Credit Union has had a long and rewarding history and is aimed towards a safe and successful future. For the last 60 years and many more to come, thank you.